were talking before a little bit about when we first met, because we started at
As
MTV.
babies.
Like, yeah, we were babies.
Yeah.
We were little MTV babies.
It's so cute. It's so punk rock.
But I think the state predated by just a minute before I came on, because I remember watching the state on MTV.
The State, or You Wrote It, You Watch It?
Well, okay, so the You Wrote It, You Watch It, the Jon Stewart show was pretty epic. Also.
It was Jon Stewart's first show and our first show. We were still in college. So it was Jon Stewart, that was predated the Jon Stewart show, and it predated the State.
Yeah.
But it was our first show together.
And basically the concept was like, people, wouldn't they like write in sketch ideas and then that you guys would act them out?
Here's the real scoop.
Oh no.
Oh, she's going to blow it.
Oh no, I know where this is going.
My lawyer is going to call me later.
Okay.
The real deal was, yes, people would write in letters and it would say, you know, the funny thing happened with my boyfriend and I and this, and then we would act out the funny thing that happened with the boyfriend. But then it got to a certain point where we were like, this letter isn't that funny. So we would just make them up.
Oh my God.
That's okay. We got canceled. It's fine.
Oh my God.
We deserved it.
How many seasons did that show get?
70.
70 seasons. That's amazing.
It's still
I think
under
it's still
contract.
on.
Yeah.
It's still on.
I am going there from here.
That is got to be like one of the longest running shows.
Nobody
of all
is
time.
watching. It's so weird.
You wrote it, but you're not watching
it.
Yeah,
you wrote it. Ain't nobody gonna watch it.
You didn't write it.
We didn't
and
write
you're not
it,
watching
and
it.
no one's watching.
So that's where the state came from.
Yeah.
And then you guys
we started at NYU in 1988 as a sketch. Well, as just a sketch group doing shows around New York and around NYU and in closets and in basements. And then while we were at NYU, William Morris found us, and William Morris signed us as a group, which was like not a thing at the time. And then we sent in tapes. David Wayne's sister's ex-boyfriend was working at MTV on this new show, You Wrote It, You Watch It. And David's like, I have a sketch group. Bring them these tapes and we could be the group. And they were like, yeah, no, thank you. So we just started making them. And so we just kind of dropped them on their laps and they were like, okay. So they paid us. Our office was a closet. There were 11 of us, 11, in a closet that they had emptied out. And we had a lamp sitting on the floor in the middle of the room. And we would sit crisscross applesauce in a circle and, do our work. And we were so excited. And then from that, we got the show, The State.
I mean, MTV in those days, but MTV in those days was like a pretty big deal.
It was the only deal. If you think about it, I mean, now we joke about it, but the truth is it was the only deal in music. And it was the only counterculture channel.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal. I mean, a new video drop was tune-in television. Thriller is going to be debuting on MTV at 6 p.m. on Friday.
Right.
You raced home.
George Michael has a new video. Oh my God, we'll see it 1,000 times, but we got to go see it, air at a specific time.
But we joke about like, but it really was, it was so punk rock to be on MTV. That was the only place that it was happening. It was so counterculture that there were campaign ads of people saying, basically it was like satanic panic days. And they were saying like, this MTV is going to ruin this generation. I mean, it was like people were afraid of it, which we loved.
Which is so funny.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know about social media.
Dude.
And now our generation's like, it's gonna ruin. It's like, oh, but they were saying that about MTV, but MTV was so like, it was just such a part of the fabric of pop culture and really defined a lot of pop culture. But the state, for me, especially as a comedy nerd, it was like the state, Kids in the Hall, like the shows that really were prevalent in the 90s. And it was just fun for me because I think the first time I met all of you was like at a spring break or something. It was in like,
oh my God, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
We were in Panama City.
It was Panama. I think it was Panama City. Yeah.
Thank God there were not cell phone cameras then. I think about that trip. Imagine this. Just imagine this. Close your eyes for a second and imagine we are 24, something like this, 23 years old, a group of us. And Norm Macdonald was hosting, Gilbert Gottfried was performing, Andy Dick, say no more. It was bacchanalia.
See, what's so funny to hear you say that is because my experience with MTV was if they could fly you out the same day you worked, they would do it to save you on a hotel room. So people were like, was it so crazy back then? I was like, no, my experience with it was a very controlled environment in which they would fly you in, you would do your show. And then, like I said, if they could get you out the same night, you'd be out. But I remember meeting all of you there. This must have been like 94 or something. Probably. And like the lunch tent.
Yes.
And just like having lunch with like Dave Matthews, who was a brand new artist at the time.
And like Sugar Hill, or what's his name? Sugarfish. Wait, what's the guy's
name? do we sound like grandparents? Who the kids love the Sugarfish?
The Sugar Hill Gang.
No. The Sugarfish is that's a restaurant, Mom. That's a restaurant.
It's a gentleman who sang songs. And I think it was something about sugar. Anyway, very big fan.
This is where we're. It's so funny because when you think back, it's like you make fun of your parents for not knowing stuff, and then you get older, and then what happens is your brain just gets crowded with all of the information. So your hard drive just gets full.
That's exactly right. I love that because we've got new stuff coming in.
Yeah, but then you'll remember some weird detail from like 35 years ago, but you don't remember like where's I set myself my AirPods were somewhere here.
It's so true, Mark. It's so true.
Chris. It's Chris.
Right,
it's
Chris. Right.
We've known each other a long time.
Right. As we were just saying, I feel like I don't remember what we were talking about.
Well, so when you mentioned you wrote it, you watch it before we started shooting.
Yeah.
You said Jon Stewart reminded you of something.
Yes.
That you weren't sure. That's the other thing is like not knowing, was this a memory or a dream I had or a story someone told me?
If you think about the things that we got to experience then, which when you're in the moment of history making, I'm not saying I made history, but when you're living in the world where history is being made, you don't know you're living in the world where history is being made.
Right.
So I was sitting second row with the state at the Nirvana Unplugged show.
Oh my God, that's right. Tom Lennon told me about this, and I was like, you were at that. This is one of the most legendary performances.
And the only one who wasn't there to Michael Jan because he was editing a horrible sketch that never even made it to air, and Kevin because he was at like a kink party.
Okay.
Which he famously talks about. So he missed it. But we also went to Bob Dylan Unplugged. I mean, at the time, you're just like, history.
The Nirvana Unplugged in New York show it's literally like one of the most pivotal moments in rock history because music had just gone so like, there was just like a lot of distortion and a lot of like
I know, I
noise.
was playing some of it.
Yes, yeah. Don't think I'm not going to talk about Cake Like, your band. But then just the idea of like stripping it down to give you the opportunity to hear like, oh, these songs are all actually quite melodically pleasing, when you hear.
Wait, Kurt Cobain has a beautiful
voice and About a Girl as an acoustic song it's just flooring. And so like that was so groundbreaking. And so to hear that you guys were part of this historical.
You can hear Ken Marino's whistle on the album. I mean, it feels very like Forrest Gump, like we just were there. We were there. But the memory that Jon Stewart and I had the other day was one of those things where I thought, I must have dreamt this. There's no way this actually happened. I ran into John at a party and we came up to each other with like, we hadn't seen each other in a long time. We both sort of had tears in our eyes. And he's like, Kerri, we're still here. Like, we're still here, which is kind of amazing. And I said, I have to ask you. I said, there's a memory that I have that I'm sure was a dream, that I made this up. But were you and I at Radio City? And he said, yes. It was you and I sitting in the audience alone, and George Carlin was rehearsing his set for his show the next day. And it was just Jon Stewart and I sitting and watching George Carlin for 1 hour. He came out, he set down a glass of water, he did an hour without a breath or a sip of water, and then he goes, yeah, that'll be good, and walked off stage.
So was there anyone in the audience?
No, I mean, his manager must have been there somewhere. No. It was just an empty theater. And we were there. And I said, why were we there? Why was I there? I think John was invited and I came along because were just leaving the MTV office together or something.
Hey, I want to go see one of the most legendary performers run his set at a legendary venue. What are you doing? I don't know.
And it's also a miracle that I went, because that was around the era when, again, you don't know you're at history. I likely would have been like, nah, I'm going to go to Trash and Vaudeville and buy some new boots. You know, like there are things that I did miss that I'm like, oh, if I had only known, but very few, luckily.
But we don't really recognize an era until, you know, like you're past it and you can look back retrospectively and go, oh, wait a minute, that was actually really a special moment in time.
Yeah. And thank God, you know, like I get embarrassed sometimes about the attitude that we had as the new group, which became the state. We knew from day one, we're going to work together forever and we're going to be successful. Like, shut up. Are you serious? You're 20 years old. Shut your mouth.
But you guys are just being like punk rock.
We were being punk rock, and we really thought that the sun shined out of our ass. And I think that if we had not had that attitude at that time, it wouldn't have propelled us. It propelled us. And now, of course, we're appropriate members of society. You know, I don't walk around saying those things. Let me in. I was at Nirvana Unplugged in 19. You can hear my friend's whistle. Roll the tape.
I went to see the Nirvana boys perform. And
that Foo Fighters boy, he can play a fiddle.
He fought the Foo that day. I tells you.
The Foos lost.
But it is fun to think about, like, you know, like that was just so definitively 90s, like that period of MTV, and we did get to be a part of this like bizarre ribbon of pop culture.
Oh my God. Tom Lennon and I playing naked Foursquare in the office. And by the way, our office was the TRL studio. It became the TRL studio. So we're in our 20s looking out on Times Square. That was our office. We were chain smoking in there, playing naked Foursquare. And I remember the Beavis and Butthead guys were like, hey, some of us are trying to work.
And you're like, so are we.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the gall of us. And then Joe Latruglia, I remember, went and gave them like a giant card, like an I'm sorry, and like what giant bear, just to be a douche. Like it just was so like, who do we think we were? But I don't know, that sort of young energy of the time.
That was a little more definitively 90s, right? Like the 80s.
It was very Gen X, that attitude.
It was very Gen X. And when you sort of look at the 80s, which, I mean, the way I remember the 80s was that it lacked a certain amount of self-awareness. So the 90s became very referential and self-aware. And our generation, I think, was really the first generation to solely communicate in pop culture as our dialect, and because we all grew up on cable television, and we're sort of like rebelling against, I guess, the structure of the 80s. So everything was so like reflexively like, meh, whatever, you know.
It's
like,
so true. That was very well said. And also, we didn't have parents. I love my parents, and they were there as much as any parent was in the 80s, which was not at all.
Yeah.
And thank God for that. You know what I mean? Like those of us that made it out alive, you know, that our only water we ever had was out of a hose. I mean, that's a real thing. You didn't walk around with water bottles.
An old hose too,
your mom
not like a
didn't go, are you hydrated today? She'd go, like, get some Tang out of the fridge.
Yeah.
You know, get the powder.
Yep.
But, you know, because, and I think that served us well.
And can you imagine, like, in the 80s being like, Mom, do you think there's any chemicals? Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? Just shut up. Just have some Tang and get a Chocodile or a Twinkie. And
my family would say, finish your salad or no dessert. And the salad was Jell-O with little marshmallows and cinnamon Red Hots. It was a Jell-O salad.
You know, salad. It's a salad, but it's got the word salad in it.
And I lived. I'm not very healthy, but I lived.
I always think about, like, you know, because we have a little trampoline out back for our daughter, and it's like, it's got padding on it, and there's like a netting around it.
And warning
yeah, exactly.
all over it.
All you need to understand about our generation is to look at the trampolines of the 70s and 80s, which were basically just like, you know, held together with bear traps all around. Like, there were so many ways that you could be horribly injured on our rusty trampoline. You could get your toes caught in the springs. You could fall between the springs and snap a leg.
I remember getting hair caught in the springs and then just ripping it out.
Like someone,
but then the other side had gum in it, so it was fine.
Yeah, which would hold you to some bigger kid would launch you off, and then you just land on the ground.
That was the game. If you look at any picture of a 70s playground. It really looks like something out of
Saw.
Saw.
It's like, how did we survive that?
It is incredible.
I remember seeing Cake Like perform at the Whiskey in 1994, I think. And you crushed it. And there's one, I don't remember what the song is, but there's just one lyric that plays in my head.
I think I know what it's
Which one?
Be. Is it bum leg?
No,
I've got a bum leg.
It's your dad works for my dad.
That's from Bum Leg.
Oh, it is?
The story is this in a nutshell. It was a girl band, and our boyfriends were all in bands, so we had instruments lying around. The guys were all on tour. So really, as a joke, we said, let's pick up the instruments. We're going to go to the practice space. Let's write a song. So when they get home, we're going to be like, we're a band too. None of us had ever played music before or an instrument. So I was like, I'll play that one, whatever that one is, and I'll play that one. And Jody's like, I'll take these sticks. And we went into the practice space, and then we're like, do you want to come back tomorrow? Do you want to come back tomorrow? And we started like really enjoying it. And then after a couple of weeks, this guy poked his head and he goes, hey, we have a party up above the Pyramid Club coming up, and we would love you guys to play it. And we were like, oh, no, we're not a band. We're not really a band. And he's like, well, you sound like a band. And we're like, no, we only have 3 songs, and they're not even really songs. Like, we don't know what we're doing. And he's like, well, come play the 3 songs. So he came and played the 3 songs. John Zorn, incredible musician. He said, I have a deal with this label called Avant out of Japan, and they want to make a record with you. So we had to write more songs. We did those. It got 3.5 stars in Rolling Stone, our first album. And our boyfriends are like, you. We're in like the center of Spin magazine.
You're like, this isn't so hard.
I got my name on the cover of Rolling Stone. They did a 5-page layout of me with it was insane. And then we were playing a show at the Knitting Factory, and Rick Ocasek came backstage, and he said, I love you guys. I want to bring some friends tomorrow. So the next day he shows up with Neil Young, Paulina Poroskova.
Jesus.
It was like Jim Jarmusch, it was just like, you're just like.
Was David Byrne the name you were just?
What is happening? So then afterwards, Neil said, I have a new label off of Warner Brothers called Vapor. I would love you to be my second band. His first band was Jonathan Richman. So we're like, yeah. So we signed with them. We did 3 albums with them. We toured around. We toured with Crazy Horse. We did the Horde tour. We went all around Europe a couple of times. I mean, it was just like another lifetime ago. But that was that sort of thing of like, well, I could do this. We just had this confidence of like, if you don't like it, then you.
Yeah.
And also, like, this isn't my job. This is my hobby.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, like, that makes sense, because this isn't very good. And distortion pedal. But something about it, people like Billy Corrigan reached out. We had so many big musicians like, that's the sound. And we're like, no, this is not a sound. We're just making sounds. And they're like, exactly. Because everybody else is derivative of somebody else. You are making your own sound because it's all you know how to do. We couldn't copy someone if we tried.
I fully understand why it worked, especially in the 90s, because it's something that I think people are striving for today, which is just like, it was just an authentic thing that wasn't engineered. It was just like you were doing this kind of no stakes, and this sort of raw expression, and the music, the playing was like, it was a vibe. It didn't have to be like, you didn't have to come out playing classical guitar. Because
imagine this, we were in a club, there were maybe 30 people. No one's recording it and putting it out to the world. That was our little experience in that moment, right? If that had gone out to the world, you're right. Immediately people would be like, this is trash. They don't know what they're doing. And it would have shut it down. But we had the chance to play bigger club, be found. Oh, an album. Oh, and then people read about the album. They go to buy the album, and then they come to see you. And we built organically. I mean, we weren't whole, we weren't, we played on Conan, I mean, so we made it a certain limit. And then I moved to LA with Viva Variety. Mm-hmm. So then the band ended. But yeah, but if it had been like, this is what I'm going to do, and these are the stakes, it would have been different. And with social media, I don't think we would have stood a chance.
And even though we try to tell ourselves like, don't be result oriented, when you have like some sort of a creative endeavor, especially one that kind of relies on an audience like music or stand-up or whatever, it can be a little hard to fully shove that out of the way. But you know, you hear that story and it's like, yeah, but sometimes that's what you really need to do, and just focus on the expression of the thing.
The problem is now when you put something out there in the world, if it's on YouTube, if it's on, you know, any social media, what you're telling the world is this is a finished product.
Right.
And so how do you find yourself and discover what's working and what isn't working? You could say, oh, I'm going to, you know, play a show tonight. It's just going to be acoustic and there's only going to be 40 people there, but someone's going to record it and they're going to put it out. So you don't have a chance anymore to discover yourself or find yourself. To workshop, you know? I just love art that was meant to be experienced in one room, one time.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I'm guilty of it. I was at a concert the other night and I filmed one of the songs because I thought it was so beautiful. And I will go back and listen to it. But when you go to concerts or you go to a show and it's just everyone watching it through their phones, it does break my heart because people now will never experience again that feeling of this is just here and now. Broadway, you can still experience that.
You're very rarely in a situation where no one has phones. Like one of the only kind of disagreements my wife and I had like about our wedding was, you know, Lydia
phones
said,
or no phones.
I'm not going to allow phones. Everyone's going to have to bag their phones. I was like, what are you talking about? People are going to lose their minds. And she was like, I don't want people, I want them present. I don't want them filming. I don't want them just taking videos and like randomly posting our wedding. I want them to be present.
Yeah.
And God damn it, she was right. Like our wedding, people will always say like the energy of it, like everyone was so present. You could feel it.
Which is why I got so much money for that drone footage I took at your wedding. So thank you for doing that.
I'm just delighted that you could profit off of that because you're my friend and I love you.
Our wedding was before that. Tomorrow is our 22nd wedding anniversary.
Yeah, congratulations.
No, I'm going to tell him.
Oh, is this the time?
I'm going to pull it.
Do you want to tell him on here?
Yeah.
Should we tell him? Should we reveal it on the podcast?
I don't remember his name. I want to say Starve, but that's not.
It's Steve. Close. It's Steve.
Oh God.
Oh gosh.
No, tomorrow's our 22nd wedding, but 22 years ago, it wasn't a common thing to have like pictures on your phone. We had our phones, but it wasn't like it wasn't a big photo thing yet.
It was much more of a pain to bring like a high 8 camera.
Yeah.
Or like a little 8mm camera, 16mm
or a big
camera.
cone. Action!
Action! Okay, roll the guests.
And a crop. My mom had a crop.
And then the big clapper. Like right, the makeup, the puff of I mean, it. So back then, it was just how weddings were done.
Yeah, in our backyard, and it just was us, and it just was our friends and our family, and it is different. It's such a different feeling. But that being said, I have this weird memory thing where if I don't photograph it, I don't have a memory of it. I have to call Tom Lennon for my comedy memory, and I have to call Jody Seifert, our drummer, for my music memory. So I will often call Tom Lennon and I'll go, okay, I'm about to work with so-and-so person. Do I know them? He's like, you do not know them. You have never worked with them. Because I'll go like, wait, remember me? And they'll be like, I don't. And then same thing with music. I'll say, oh, I'm going to see this show. Do I go backstage after? Nope, you've never played with these people before. You've seen them on the TV.
I love that Tom, listen, I just imagine when you call Tom, he's like, listen, I got to go. I'm writing 2 books. And, I'm also, I'm playing a doctor for a day in a big superhero movie. And then I'm also in a Smith's cover band.
And these shorts are killing my balls.
He's like, Tom Lennon is one of the most prolific creators
humans.
I've ever known. It's like, when did you have time to do that? He's like, he wrote a book, or then he wrote another
insane.
screenplay.
And we have each other on Find My Friends. So sometimes when I'm like sitting in bed and I'm like got a bag of chips and like chocolate chips rolling out of my mouth, and I've been in bed for 7 hours looking through scrolling social media, I'll just go on Find My Friends and I'm like, look at Tom. He's like in Vancouver. And then the next minute he's in Seattle.
By the way, Tom Lennon, first guest on the podcast ever.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
And I'm your last.
But bookended it. But I love all that, I love that I'm pals with all the state.
Well, you're part of the circle. You're part of the family.
I'm like the cousin Oliver.
You're in the family photo album, no doubt about it.
Because I looked up to y'all so much, and I remember, there's so many sketches that I remember that so were like in the exact Venn diagram of my interests. Like you did one that I remember from the state VHS cassette, which was like the Snuggle commercial where the little bear, you're doing your laundry and the bear comes to life and starts talking and you're like, "Ah!" and you just beat it to death with an iron. And then the end of that tape was all of y'all doing the outtakes from Cannonball Run, which
that was Joe's idea,
which was so
Brilliant.
specific to my interest as a
no
Gen
one
X
would get it now.
kid.
No one would get it now.
Of like, you
So
guys
we shot for shot did the outtakes.
shot for shot, the laughing.
So stupid.
Like, it was so like, oh my God, they speak my brain, you know? And so I just always like, you know, worshipped you guys as comedy entities and then got to know you. And it's like, oh, and then you're also like the coolest, nicest people.
Well, the feeling is mutual. The fun story about that Cuddle Soft thing is that's my dad. My dad is a big voiceover actor. He's a Cocoa Puffs bird, and he's Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats, and yeah, I know. For this generation,
that is insane. Like, yeah, I'm watching some of our Gen X crew just be like, and also Sonny the Cocoa Puffs bird.
I mean, I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's just part of our like vernacular now. Like you'll hear politicians go, "That guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs." But my dad was the voice of the state. So anytime you heard the announcements or a no,
that's so wonderful.
And now he's Skittles Taste the Rainbow guy.
Oh my God.
I know, guys. Whatever.
Literally, your dad works for my dad. Your dad works for my dad.
Literally, all of your dads work for my dad.
They really kind of do. But then to go on from the state and then...
We just did a live tour 2 years ago of the state. That was heaven. We did it during the writer's strike. And to zip up into your unitard again with your ribbon stick and your dildos as a 55-year-old at the time, what a dream. What a dream.
I always wonder, because you never know like what's gonna be a thing, and to see that like Reno became such a part of our pop culture.
Yeah, crazy.
That you're still, I mean, when you're doing the pilot of Reno or like the first episode of Reno, do you have any clue at that point, like, oh, this is gonna be like the mainstay, the thing that people are gonna keep coming back to?
Not only did we not have a clue, we had written a sketch show, Tom and Ben and I, for Fox. A sketch show, had nothing to do with Reno at all. We cast the cast that you see on Reno, and they were sketch actors. They were going to do written sketches. We got to the table read and realized they don't want to do a sketch show anymore. So Tom called me that night. He's like, "We're about to get fired." And I was like, "Yep." And he said, "What if we did a ridiculous Hail Mary? What if we did a spoof of Cops, which is on their channel?" I was like, what? We don't have time to write that. He's like, "We'll improvise it," which we were terrible improvisers with the games. We couldn't do the games.
The games are hard.
The games are a different animal.
There's a difference between being riffy and doing the improv games, where if you're riffy, you're like, oh, this isn't so hard. And then you get into a structured game and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I bow down to those people.
Yes.
We didn't do those. So we thought we didn't know how to improvise. We called the cast that night. Hey, crazy idea. If you were a cop, what would your name be? Because we need to know in 20 minutes because we're having name tags made. And we're going to run out into the valley and we're going to rent some cop uniforms. They're going to arrive tomorrow morning and we're going to improvise a spoof of Cops. Goodbye. And we did that. And Fox was like, "No, thank you."
Really?
And they put it on the shelf and it sat there for 3 years. And 3 years later, Comedy Central called and said, "It's a slow year. Do you guys have any ideas?" And we jokingly said, "We've got that pilot that's sitting on the shelf at Fox." They were like, "Yeah, you can have that one." And it took off on Comedy Central. And then years later, our lawyer called us when we were a hit and said, "Great news. I just reread your contract. They forgot to buy the movie rights, so Fox still owns them. Do you want to make a movie?" So that Reno 911 Miami was a Fox and Comedy Central film.
That is such a beautiful story for creators, because it just means you never know.
At this age, I can tell you in this business, really never, I mean, sounds so silly, but really never give up. Really never give up hope. Never, 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 never. I mean, I've had so many rejections. I know you, of course.
We all have had.
No, I mean, in this business,
and poor Steve, who just found out you guys day before your anniversary.
It's live, we're live. I mean, it's so much, we've had so many failed pilots, the group and I, and so many different shows, things I've auditioned for, but At age 50, as a woman in this business, I received my first Emmy nomination, and I now have 5 since 50. Wow. And I've been doing the same shit. I mean, it's not, it was for Reno, which had been on forever. And then for 4 seasons to come along in my mid 50s as a woman, someone finally goes, oh, would you also like to do something that has drama? That is like, thank God for this new sort of direction we're going in Hollywood where people are wanting to see older people on television tell their stories. But years ago, I would be done now. I would be a principal on a Disney show going, keep it down, kids, with like wacky glasses, which, by the way, I am not against doing. And I mean that. Like those bread and butter things, absolutely. And I'll do them again. But to have this moment in time where I get to do what I trained to do, and people are responding to it, it's blowing my mind. So you never ever know. Just keep doing it.
Non-creative people think so categorically, and it always used to drive me crazy when you'd hear a network go, "We're never going to do this type of show or that type of comedy." It's like, why would you don't know? And then someone else will come along and someone else will create something that takes off, and they'll go, oh yeah, actually we will do that. It's like, yeah, because now It's already.
So many people called me later and said, you have no idea how many pitches I've heard that they say it's a Reno type show.
Well,
but nobody wanted
became
Reno.
An archetype. Like Reno became an archetype.
Yeah.
But also it probably looks like an easy show to do, but it's not an easy show to do.
If you do not, there's 2 most important things. If you do not have that cast, if you do not have people that are like absolutely selfless, absolutely so fast on their feet, and a crew that, I would mess with them sometimes. I would run off set and I'd be like, I'm going to go get a blue smoothie. And you'd run off set and you'd see the prop team like, and they're like figuring out, how do I grind this into a thing and put it in the cup?
So they're part of the improv, basically.
We had cop cars just off set in case someone wanted to jump in one and go. We had weapons live, ready. You did not know what was going to happen. All that dialogue is written by the actor that you see saying it. And the other main important person besides the whole crew, the cast, is the editor. Christian Hoffman at the end became our god, because he would take things that I would look at a rough cut and I'd go, that's so weird. There's nothing there. I really felt on the day something was there. And he'd go, and it's magic.
Yeah.
So, things that people would say to us, my gosh, everything that comes out of your mouth is so funny. I'm like, you sit and watch 4 hours of us saying nothing. And then he will add in a breath that wasn't there, a turn, and it's there.
Yeah. A good editor is so important, especially for comedy.
Especially for comedy.
Because anything can turn into anything. If it's a split second too soon or too late, then it doesn't work. So someone that can they really become like the other member of the troupe.
And are you watching this new trend in comedy? My son's been showing me these things. SNL was sort of long form in the beginning.
Yeah.
We would watch longer sketches.
Yeah.
The States thing was like, we get in, we get out. We're punk rock. We're fast. It's It's MTV.
Yeah.
Right? It's in your face. Now, I think because of social media and short clips, my son showed me these few things he thought was funny, and each one of them, they clipped off the end of the final word.
Oh my God.
I go, honey, this is weird. I think it's a mistake. He's like, it's not a mistake, Mom. Like, that's what's cool about it. I'm like, we're not even finishing words now? We don't have time to put a D on the end of and?
I almost called you Trudy. Listen, Trudy, Kerri, what you're verbalizing is something, it's part of the reason why it's been so hard for me to like understand and speak the dialect of TikTok. I've said the exact same thing. I'm like, it just ends, it like cuts off in a weird way. And I think people are like, oh, it's like, it's weird for the sake of weird. I'm like, I get weird for the sake of weird. I understand Adult Swim comedy. Like I understand punk rock sort of like breaking format, but there's still enough Gen X in my brain where it's like a sketch is like a Kids in the Hall sketch. There's multiple characters. It escalates somehow. There are 3 or 4 or 5 beats, and it either just kind of ends on some sort of a thing or like a blackout. The lights go out.
Right.
But this idea of like it cuts off before it's done is sort of hard for it's
I know.
really,
I can't get like I'm like, I want to get there. Is it just age? Is it just taste? I don't know what it is, but I like to try and stay current because I just love all kinds of art. It sounds so dorky, but I do. I love music. I love new music. I love dirty. I love clean. I just love it all. And I think it's so exciting to see what's still happening. I'm really not one of those people that's like, well, the music in my day or the art in my day or the whatever. I love the evolution.
Of course.
It's just some of it I just don't understand, but I want to.
But it's also like understanding how to communicate in an authentic way, because it's really just about the authentic expression. I think especially with people watching super close up on their phones, they just want to read authenticity, which is when I was growing up watching MTV or watching y'all or watching The Young Ones or like, Monty Python or any of these shows, because MTV aired Python. Yeah. And there was a lot of British stuff in the 80s. It just all read like, oh, that's me. That's my sensibility. Like there's something authentic about it. But that sort of like clipping off the last beat is like a dialect of comedy. And I often think of it like, in my brain, I think of it as like CSL, comedy as a second language, where it's like, this was not my native comedy language. So I'm kind of learning how to speak it. But a whole generation of people, that's just their native comedy language because they grew up with this short form comedy. And we grew up with longer form. And you talk about like the state, we got in, we got out. But even that was probably longer.
Oh my gosh.
Compared to what now is.
I tried to show it to my son a couple of years ago. He's like, oh. He's like, how many more of these are going to watch? And we only watch like a sketch.
Your mom and her friends used to put on costumes and do
I
pretend.
have a great story. My son, when he had, because I still do it. I still do shows at UCB and stuff. I love it. I just love working. I love playing. And my son had a play date when he was little, and this kid didn't know our family very well. He came over. And Kai didn't think it was weird to yell out to me, hey, mommy, one of your mustaches is stuck to the floor in the hallway. And the kid was like, and I was like, thanks, sweetie.
Mom's a comedy
I'll put it with the dildos. Anyway, you guys want cheese snacks?
Does anybody who wants a Jell-O salad? It's got the word salad in it. That idea of just kind of finding your authentic thing and just figuring out how to express yourself through it, again, like without trying to do it without fear of judgment. But it is so hard because the whole paradigm now is set up for judgment.
I feel terrible for people now. I believe with my whole chest that the state and my career would not exist had we started in today's landscape, because I think we would have gotten swallowed.
Now I have to disagree, because I think you were all so determined and driven, and sort of this really great balance between art and ambition in that way, that I think you would have just had a different path. I think you all would have figured it out.
I don't know.
It just would have been a different path.
But what I do know is I'm glad that when we were figuring it out, it wasn't out there for public consumption. We were figuring it out in small theaters going, okay, that didn't get a laugh, we'll cut that. But nobody saw but the people in that theater.
Yeah, but you're the same group of people who were faced with this, like, this thing, the pilot you were doing at Fox, and you pivoted because you were flexible. It's like, that's where the success comes from. And then because of that, just pivot, a few years later, it took a little bit of time, but then that becomes this thing.
Well, we were older then, and we had done a lot of television by then. I mean, we started You Wrote It, You Watch It while we were in college. We started The State like the day after we graduated NYU. We started Viva immediately after that. And then we did a pilot for Fox that didn't go. Then we did a totally different one. And then we did the Reno pilot for Fox. And then, so by then we had done quite a bit of television. So we were a bit more understanding of what maybe people would want and what people wouldn't want. And also we could see it coming when we were about to get fired, because we had been fired a few times by then. Saw the train a coming. I have the greatest firing story. When the state left, like idiots to go to CBS because we thought, oh, that's real television. My mom actually gets that. And she can talk about it at church.
Totally probably a different platform than MTV.
Dude, we had been offered, which I didn't know at the time, several more seasons of The State on MTV. But we had this dangling carrot, CBS wants you. We're like, great, we're out of here. Pack our bags and we're gone. Ridiculous.
Okay, please just don't get upset about that because that's what people did in the 90s.
That's what people did. But we were also misled. I will say we were misled by our people. I do believe that was a bad choice.
Okay.
Also, we'd made the decision ourselves. I think it was all wrong. It happened, whatever. But when we ended up getting to CBS, which was a channel at the time for 90 and up, essentially, during the commercial break for the very first commercial break of the show, the first commercial was for Geritol. I kid you not.
Sure.
And Michael Black goes, why do I feel like we're the only people in the world watching this? Because we were, Chris. We were. No one watched it. They did absolutely no press for it. It was absurd. Anyway, we were supposed to do another special. So that was a Halloween special. We were supposed to do a New Year's special for them. And then we were going to roll into a series. So we finished the Halloween special. We're like, well, that didn't go that great, but that's okay. Now we've got the New Year's special. So we're in the writer's room. We're getting ready. And Tom Lennon and I did what we often do, which is we wandered off and started making costumes out of toilet paper and glitter. And so we were wrapping each other in rolls and rolls and rolls of toilet paper. So we were both mummies, like could barely move. And then we made masks with glitter out of paper plates. And our assistant came in and he's like, hey guys, they need you in Jim Sharp's office. And we were like, yeah, okay. So we wander in there like this, and on speakerphone in our producer's office is the head of CBS, and they're like, or our agent probably like, you've been canceled, get your things and get out. And Tom and I are like, yeah, okay.
It just couldn't be any more demeaning when you're in the full costume.
Perfect. And I had to pee so bad.
So when that happens, when you guys are literally just sort of like quietly putting your things away and leaving,
devastation.
What are the conversations you're having? Like, how do you guys at that point, because it was still early enough in your career, how do you convince yourselves to keep pushing forward?
You say early in your career, but when you're in the moment and you can't see the future, you think that's the end of your career.
Sure.
Because for some people it is. I mean, that happens, right?
Yeah.
It's a real thing. So it was devastating. And then the next move that happened was even more devastating, which was Viva Variety, because not everybody was asked to come do Viva Variety. And Viva Variety was originally a state sketch.
Okay.
It's in the documentary. There's a documentary. Matthew Perniciaro made a documentary called Long Live the State, and it should be out in the next year or so. But there's a section in there where when I was watching the rough cut of the documentary, I was like, oh my God, I'm hearing how that time affected everybody. It was devastating. I mean, the members that didn't go on to do Viva thought, I will never work again, or, possibly, or that's the end of this group we said would live on forever. Cut to last night, I'm on stage with David Wayne, Ken Marino, Joe Latruglio, for the Gail Daughtry movie. Mm-hmm. And, we're still working together. It's been almost 40 years. So we will always work together. But in the moment, you don't know that.
Sure. And that's why it's always good to remind yourself that if you can just stay, like John Stewart said, if you could just stay in the game, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because one thing is ending, because you say like, oh, it was a mistake that the state went to CBS. But now that you have the gift of hindsight, like, well, if the state goes on for several more seasons at MTV, maybe there's no Reno.
That's true.
There's
You're right.
because you were in the right place at the right time in the right series of things. But because y'all are so adaptable and so, you as artists, y'all just keep pushing.
But that's the sketch world. That's the sketch world. It's very specific. It's scrappy. And I love it. And I love that was my boot camp. When doing 4 seasons, Tina is from sketch. Will is from sketch. A lot of people don't know Coleman Domingo came from sketch.
Coleman literally came from everything.
Coleman
came from literally everything.
He is everything.
And like perfectly.
He is everything.
He is everything.
But no, he came from sketch as well. And that's part of why the group works so well together is we're scrappy. And it's like theater camp. And it's like, okay, pivot, this isn't working. Or, oh, you need to meet me to be in this uncomfortable position. I can hold this for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know, there is something about the sketch community that the sketch community, that we need a flag. That is just, you know, like, well, that didn't work. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know, and you're really willing to just put it out there and embarrass yourself, and you really can't have an ego.
You also all know, like, you all have each other's back no matter what, and you're all comfortable together. And being a part of a group like that, you know, sometimes it can be hard for stand-ups to do sketch or improv because we're so used to controlling the whole environment. And it can be hard to be reminded, like, no, but you're working as a team.
Yes.
So you're not always going to get the best joke, and that's good because you're just maybe there sometimes to set up, which is a good life lesson too. Maybe you're just there to set up someone else's joke. And so that's the part of the machine you are in that moment, and that's good.
But stand up is something that I just bow down. I mean, that to me is, I kind of feel like I want to start doing it at 60. Like because it scares me so much, I kind of think I want to try it. It is the most terrifying idea to me. And the fact that you guys are up there all alone, it is like scarier than anything I could possibly imagine.
To me, that's what's comforting about it, because I feel like I have all the responsibility, so I can really, you know, and I'm also not letting anyone down except potentially the audience. But I mean, I'm not letting anyone in a group down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I took some groundlings classes early on, like when I was kind of at that on the fence between, like, do I want to do stand-up? Do I want to do sketch and improv? And I just felt like I was always sort of going for a joke in a scene, which didn't really help the scene work. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable with this. I would rather just be able to
get yourself to the punchline.
Get myself and not let anyone down in the group. Or maybe that's just codependency, but I started to get nervous and scared, which you can't really have fear when you're on stage, especially, you know, in a group. You really all need to be in it.
Yeah.
So it's funny to hear you say that, because it was the opposite was true for me.
And you know what? In this group, the state is very specific. I've known Tom since I was 17. I've known the rest of the group since I was 18. And we've worked together steadily since then, all of us. So I think also because we created our sense of humor together, literally as children, you ask any person in that group, when we're on stage, you could be there in the audience or not. It doesn't matter to us. We're trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah.
And so there is a safety in that, because I'm like, oh, this is going to get Tom. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get Tom with this. And then luckily it translates to the audience.
Yeah. Everything we're talking about is just about being authentically yourself and your own voice in any of these platforms, whether it's in 7 seconds or 12 minutes, or whether it's a group, or whether it's stand-up or music or improv. It's just figuring out, like, how are you authentically yourself? How are you doing it for yourself and inviting the audience to come along without necessarily needing them to validate it, which is what we have said is the downside of social media, is that, like, oh, we need to be validated, and that's going to affect how we judge ourselves.
And it's the only way it works. It's the only way it works.
The authenticity part.
Correct. Because you show up as someone else, the audience is going to see right through you in 30 seconds.
Sure. And with, you know, comedy in particular, sometimes you can be lucky enough to know who you are, like, right off the bat. And everyone's different. And sometimes you just have to do it so much before. Like, when I first started doing stand-up, I met Louis Anderson through my friend Dave, who's sitting right there, Dave Fickus right there. I met Louis Anderson. This is probably in 96, 97. And I hadn't really done stand-up yet. And Louis like, he goes, you're really funny. You should, maybe you ever do stand-up. And I go, I'm thinking about it. And so he goes, well, I'm performing at the Irvine Improv. Why don't you come open for me? So I had done stand-up a couple times. I was already on MTV at that point. So I was a little cocky. So I show up on a Friday night at the Irvine Improv, which was in a different place than it is now. Not an important detail, but as you age, you share these things. And so I go up on the Friday night and I have a great set. And Louis is like, oh, that was really funny. So the next night, I invite my family.
Oh, no.
And so they show up Saturday night. I'm all cocky. The first thing out of my mouth doesn't land with the audience. Packed room. and I didn't have enough experience to know how to deal with it. So I just folded, and it just got sadder and sadder, and you could hear people coughing. And I got off stage and I was devastated. And, you know, my mom, trying to be helpful, was like, maybe you don't need to swear so much. I'm like, not now. And so I was so apologetic to Louis. After, of course, he destroyed.
Yeah.
And he goes, he was such a gentle, kind man. And he said, you'll be fine. You just need to get on stage 100 times and then see where you're at. You're not even going to know who you are until you do this 100 times.
Yeah.
And he was right. In the next year or so, it took me a while to recover from that bomb. But then I started performing like every night, and I realized if you're performing almost every night in a month, 30 shows, your shows average out. Some are great, some are okay, some are really good, but it nets fine. And then after 100 shows, I was like, oh my God, he was right.
You put in your 10,000 hours.
It is. So it is like sometimes you really just need to do it a lot before you start judging yourself.
Side note, him in Baskets was one of the most beautiful performances of all time.
That's one of our favorite shows.
It's one of the most, both him and Zach. It is one of my favorite pieces of art of all time.
On paper, the show is like, what is this? And Zach's playing brothers, and one of them's got that weird Southern accent, and it's
a comedy, but now I'm crying. Like,
you're
what's
crying?
Happening? And all the real people he put in there. The guy, the boss at the circus or at the rodeo, he's just a guy.
Yeah, I could not agree more.
This is a podcast where we talk about topical things, like the show Baskets that was on the air 15 years ago.
No, it wasn't. It was only like 5 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah, and I would email Louis every once in a while, and and I think for him at that point in his career, just getting, because I think did he win the Emmy? I know he at least got I think he got nominated.
But he should have won everything.
But he was such a sweet, wonderful man, and such a loss that he's not here anymore.
To play a woman with such love and empathy. It wasn't a caricature.
No, because that's who it was. And he would say to me, like, well, I'm just playing my mom.
He's just playing his mom.
That's who my mom
was. It was pure love.
So to know that he was playing a character that was a tribute to his mom, who was like this beautiful, loving, empathetic force in his life, was like,
you could have so easily done a bit, and it wasn't a bit.
It wasn't a bit. He was just an authentic expression.
Authentic.
And so, as we're kind of wrapping this up, I mean, for people who feel stuck or who cannot get out of their own way, who cannot stop judging themselves or whatever, at this, now that you've been doing this for a little while, what's some really solid advice that you have? What's the Kerri Kenney method for pushing through?
I would say a few things. First of all, put the phone down. Really, really, truly put the phone down, because I, at 56 years old, caught myself the day after 4 seasons. I'm like, well, do they like me? And it's like, you're always going to find somebody. And as performers, we look to the one person in the audience that is asleep.
Yes.
And everyone else is screaming, and you're like, well, I blew it.
Yep.
You're going to find that on the internet if you look for it. You're going to find it in
You don't even have to look too hard.
You don't even have to look too hard. And then and it is true. It's like, was that even a real person? Was that someone from my middle school that was mad that I got the front row in the recorder contest and they didn't? You don't
Understandable,
know.
by the way.
And I was very good on the G. Is G a note? We don't know. I would say that first. Just work on the art, whatever the art is, work on it. Like you said, again and again and again and again and again. And don't look for what the reaction is. I mean, in a room, feel the room. If you're doing stand-up, if you're doing comedy, obviously, ask people that are better than you. Go towards people that are better than you.
Yeah.
Spend time with Louis Anderson. Spend time with Tina Fey. Go to the people that are better than you and spend time with them. But I would also say this is a tip that I don't know what the modern day version of this is, but every audition I've ever done, as soon as the audition is over, before I leave the space, I throw the sides away and I delete it from my calendar. So I did that performance. That performance existed in one moment in time. If I ever hear from them again, that's great. But I do my best to forget about it, because that was that. I got to perform that day. I get to go to an audition. I got to send that tape in, and then don't revisit it. because then that's the thing we do to ourselves. Well, let me watch that again. Let me think about that. Oh, in that one moment, that lady was looking on her phone while I was reading. Oh, in that, you cannot do that. You have to just keep moving ahead. Take the notes that are given, but don't look for criticism. Don't look for it because it's easy to find. And if I had stopped when we got criticism, the state's first season got the worst reviews in television history. We made a promo about it. When we got picked up for season 2, we made a promo that had I Started a Joke, the song playing. And the vision was us walking through Central Park, kicking rocks, skipping rocks, hugging each other under I Started a Joke, while the headlines, MTV should be urine tested for picking this show up again. 3.5 negative stars. The worst show ever on television. And that promo got us a huge audience at the premiere of season 2. So embrace it, move forward, just don't ever stop.
And also, I think just hearing all of these stories, I think the ultimate takeaway from besides you're all, hilarious comedy geniuses, but it's just getting into a situation that may not be ideal and saying, how do I make this work?
Yes.
How do I pivot to make this work? Maybe that's the scrappy sketch comedy thing.
Yes.
But asking your brain good questions instead of like, why do I always fail? Because your brain will go, oh, because you're a dumb piece of shit. Oh, right. Rather instead, how do I make this work?
And you guys figure it. If you're a real artist, that's how your brain works. Yeah. It does. I don't know why. I don't understand that, but it does seem to be true. Absolutely. And putting forward that I'm going to keep doing this no matter what. I'm going to keep doing this no matter what. I mean, really, really, truly, at 56 years old, if I can be making a pivot like this in my career, 15 years ago, there's not a chance. I would be almost done. I would be thinking, well, how many more years to retirement till I can collect that money? And imagine that what if it all works out? Yeah. What if it all works out?
And how and what can I do? And, again, 4 Seasons is such just a pantheon of iconic performers, just all of you. It's like, oh my God, of course I want to see them all in one. It's just like watching the Hanna-Barbera like wacky races, like, oh my God, I get to see this character and this character and this person and this person all together in one thing. It's like all of you together is just kind of mind blowing. I remember when it was announced that you were all doing it, it's like, holy shit, what a group,
I don't want any spoilers, but if there is a season 3, Roadrunner is going to be part of the cast. Oh no, I should have said that.
That would be oh no, you're going to get a call from Tina. Kerri, why'd you tell him about Roadrunner? Come on, no, we'll make it work. Now all I need before we leave is just, can we call your dad as Lion-O?
Right now. Where's my phone?
Oh my God, are you really going to call your dad and have it?
I've never done this before. This will be the greatest moment of his life. Are you available right now? Okay.
Chris, Kerri, I have a very special message from Lion-O. Thunder, 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 Thundercats. Oh!
Yeah!
Thanks, Dad. I love you.
I love you too.
Love you, kiddo.